Good morning. It's coffee time here. This is Mazzy. It's my nickname, so call me Mazzy. Like cappuccino, get some beans. I'm in Seattle here, and great coffee here. A lot of great bean possibilities. I'm a coffee snob. Grind some espresso beans. Anyway, I'm going to talk about my favorite guitar player ever. And obviously there's a lot of great guitar players in rock and folk and country and jazz and everything. And to say who's the best ever is sort of ridiculous. I mean, you could cite Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton or Jeff Beck or Andre Segovia or Wes Montgomery or Grant Green or just so many genres. But for me personally, my favorite guitar player is Ry Cooder. And if you don't know Ry Cooder, you need to know Ry Cooder. He's had a lot of solo albums since around 1970 or 71 was his first solo album. Although he started out really a little bit as a session musician, or a gun for hire, I should say. He actually is known for his bottleneck slide guitar playing. He taught Keith Richard slide guitar, bottleneck, and they've jammed together, and he can be heard jamming with the Stones on Jamming for Edwards and other things as well. And he's on the very first Captain Beefheart album, played with Taj Mahal. He is probably on more albums than a lot of other people. Everything from Randy Newman to country albums, Emmylou Harris to Linda Ronstadt. Very distinct style. And that's a whole other issue, which I'm not going to get into that. But I'm going to talk about his records mainly because his brand new album, Ry Cooder, The Prodigal Son, just came out in the last couple weeks. Beautiful record. Acoustic based, there is some electric work on it. It's very swampy, gospel-y solo. He's got kind of this gruff voice, but he's not always just known for his voice. But it's pretty soulful and bluesy and wonderful. I've seen him so many times and going to see him again. He's on tour with his son Joaquin. He just played with Emmylou Harris, and he toured a little bit with Rosanna Cash, or played a few gigs with her. I think this is going to go on and on just because Ry Cooder is my very favorite. There's a picture of him, you know. He's another hat man like myself. In the 70s and 80s, he was really known for his Hawaiian shirts and everything. But he's from Santa Monica. It's one of these things like Randy Newman. They're from LA, but they sound like the Delta blues, you know, when they're singing. When Randy Newman sings, he sounds like a Southerner. And he writes about Americana in the South. Same with Ry Cooder. Very influenced by Woody Guthrie, Sleepy John Est, a lot of the blues artists at the time. But great record, Prodigal Son. I'm going to see him twice, actually, next month in Seattle and San Francisco. But I'll go through some of my Ry Cooder collection. The other thing, if you don't know him, he produced the album, 15 years ago now, that was a huge hit, almost out of left field, the Buena Vista Social Club. It's too early. I'm sorry. I'm tripping over my lips here. You record geeks just like looking at records anyway, so you'll sit around at night with your iPhone or computer or iPad and just watch all of us like, it's almost like verbal masturbation of records. Sorry. Anyway, his first solo album, Ry Cooder. This came out, 1970, I was right. And great people on it. Van Gype Parks is on it, Ry Cooder, Chris Etheridge, Richie Hayward, Roy Estrada. So, he also played on the first couple Little Feat records too. So, but this is mostly old. He covers a Randy Newman song. There's a lot of old blues numbers on here. Beautiful record. You should check that out. His second album, I have a lot of multiple copies of some of these records. Some of the early ones you can find pretty cheap. Then some of them are very rare. It just depends. And he also did a lot of soundtracks, which we'll get into here too. Into the Purple Valley. Love this cover. One of my favorites, Vigilante Man, Hey Porter, a lot, again, more Woody Guthrie, a lot of bluesy stuff. He was on Warner Brothers Records for years and years and years. And then Non-Such, and now his new album is on Fantasy Records. This is the one that really got me into him. This was his third record, and the first one I got when it came out, Boomer Story. There's a beautiful, beautiful rendition of Dark End of the Street. That's just stunning on here. Bottleneck Blissful. You can actually go to YouTube, which you're on now, and Google Ry Cooder Old Gray Whistle Test. That show alone from the around 76 probably, it's just stunning. And especially Dark End of the Street, that solo on there is amazing. But there you go, Boomer Story. I have a couple copies of that, as well as being the record semi-audiophile nerd, I had to get the Mobile Fidelity issue that came out this past year. They issued 3 Ry Cooders, Boomer Story, and Paradise and Lunch, and Chicken Skin Music. Those are some of my favorites too. Now, Paradise and Lunch is the album. This came out around 76, 74. And it's got some great accordion stuff. It's got Jim Keltner. It's kind of a Latin-y, jazzy thing, but beautiful, beautiful record. Very kind of Americana organic. Before they even called stuff Americana. He's one of the originals in my book. And he's just really true to the core. He plays almost any kind of string instrument. Mandolin, dobro, electric guitar, acoustic guitar. He gets into a lot of different tunings and guitar things, which I will get into. Another copy, see? Whenever I see these, sometimes I pick them up because I turn my friends on to them, hand them out. But get these records. They're beautiful records. Not heavy rock and roll. You're not going to get like Deep Purple shit going on and stuff. Not that I'm against Deep Purple. Again, this just arrived this week. This is the Mobile Fidelity version of Chicken Skin Music. It's got a great accordion stuff, little Tex-Mex. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful record. God, these are beautiful. I'm so excited about Ry Cooder. There you go, here. Flaco Jimenez plays accordion. Just great. I love that cover, too. Little sexy, like you want to see cartoon characters have sex? There you go. You get these records. I guess we're not selling here anyway, but you get the idea. Things if you want to get turned on to something. This is a live album that was from the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco, 1976. He played 4 shows, I think 2 a night. I went to 2 of them in 76 in San Francisco. Just really great. If you get the chance to see him, just go see him. He's just starting his solo tour now, and it'd be great to check it out if you're into guitar playing. Now this came out in 78, jazz. Little different style, very kind of retro-y jazz stuff, acoustic based, vocalist, multi-harmony vocals, just a beautiful cover, beautiful album. It's got David Lindley and Earl Hines on piano, who's a jazz pianist, late Earl Hines. But just a beautiful, a lot of Bix Beiderbecke, very kind of 20s, 30s kind of jazz styles. But a beautiful thing. What's great about Ry Cooder, he gets into so many wonderful genres. If you know the soundtrack to Performance with Mick Jagger, there's a song on there called Memo from Turner that Mick Jagger sings. It actually sounds like a Stones song. And Ry Cooder plays the bottleneck on that with Mick Jagger on that. Great song. Google Performance, or actually Google Memo from Turner, Mick Jagger, and listen to the slide guitar and you'll check that out. Now this is interesting. Actually, I got an autographed copy of Bop to Ya Drop. This came out in, I should know this stuff by heart, but obviously I don't. It's in the late 70s. I'm thinking 78, maybe. No, I'm 79. And this is considered, this supposedly is the first major label album recorded all digitally, DDD. Of course, now we look back at that, everyone's going back to analog, or at least some of the audiophiles and certain artists that really treasure this don't want to do digital and transferring it, but that's a whole other discussion. But it's a beautiful sounding record. The first digitally recorded album, and this is about 4 or 5 years before, 6 years maybe, before DVDs came out. So, but recorded digital, transferred to vinyl, mastered to vinyl, beautiful, beautiful record, very clean. Again, David Lindley, Ry Cooder's on it. There's a few albums that actually I'm not going to show tonight. There was a band, he did a sort of a temporary semi-supergroup band called Little Village. They had 1 album out, but they kind of started from the album, John Hyatt's album, the black cover. Was it Bring on the Children? Or I'm blanking out right now the name of it. See, I need to take notes here, but I sort of improvise. But that's sort of a super group. I saw them once playing in San Francisco. They toured, and it's Ry Cooder, Nick Lowe on bass, Jim Keltner on drums, and John Hyatt on guitar and singing, and Ry Cooder. Great, great. Another album, Little River. Not Little River, Little Village. I'm thinking Little River Band. That's a little too schmaltzy for my taste. But anyway, 2 more albums. There's a white label, promo, not white label, Slide Area. Get some little R&B stuff, get rhythm. I love how he has, the cover is sort of a takeoff on those velvet Latin paintings. These are kind of cool, very glow-in-the-dark things. And then, let's see, I got a live promo from 1980. I'll get into that right now. And then I have a series of soundtracks. He did a lot of soundtracks throughout the 80s, late 70s and 80s. Paris, Texas. Great, great soundtrack. A lot of times you can find these pretty cheap, but they're beautifully guitar, acoustic-based soundtracks. Again, very roots-oriented. But check this one out. I got obviously this, Johnny Handsome. He did a lot of soundtracks during that time. This is a cool one. He did, in fact, a lot of soundtracks for the director Walter Hill. This is one of the Walter Hill directing things, and I think Ry Cooder did 4, 5, or 6 soundtracks for him. This one, The Border. This is a great song that he wrote. Willie Nelson covered this song as well as a few other people. John Hyatt, I think, sings it on here, and this is a great one too. Tony Richardson directed this movie, but great soundtrack you should check out. That song, On the Borderline, really great. Not the Madonna song, Borderline. Alamo Bay, another great soundtrack of Ry Cooder's. Blue City, not a great movie, very kind of 80s design, but again, really nice soundtrack. Oh, this is a beautiful album. Ali Farka with Ry Cooder. He has a series of records. I don't have them all on vinyl, but I do have them all on CDs. There's a lot of sort of international bands with collaborations with different other musicians, sitar players, dobro players, Mexican guitar players, Indian guitar players, South American, and this is a beautiful, beautiful record. Jim Keltner seems to be the running thread on a lot of these records. He plays with Ry quite a bit. Great drummer, great session drummer. Obviously played with I think the only other musician maybe that I can think of offhand aside from Klaus Voormann that has played with all the solo Beatles on their album. I'm not sure if actually Keltner played on McCartney album, maybe not. Anyway, you get the idea, but beautiful record if you can find this. The vinyl is really rare, even the CD. Again, I like vinyl better, but I'm not a purist, and I do have a massive CD collection at some point. Maybe we'll get into a little bit. Even though this is the vinyl community, I hope wouldn't be like cheating on you. This is a fucking great record. Ry Cooder and Manuel Galban. It's very Latin, very surfy guitar, Latin sounds, slow, sexy, beautiful, beautiful. Unfortunately, the vinyl that came out on Nonsuch came out at a time when kind of just before the vinyl revival hit big, so it's really rare. I think these go for like $150 now on Discogs and places like that. But if nothing else, get this CD. Beautiful, beautiful record. Just wonderful. Ry Cooder, Election Special. Obviously, this is during, I think, 2008 or so. Oh, this is 2012. So he gets really political in a lot of his music, but almost retro political about, social justice and for pro-union, like very much like Woody Guthrie. In fact, I saw him do a gig in San Francisco in 2013. Just his son Joaquin, his son Joaquin's a drummer percussionist, and they played at a union hall, and there's probably 75 seats in it. So I got to meet him, got a couple of his records signed. This is the one I got signed by him and his son Joaquin. Another sort of political story. Now there are some things I don't have on vinyl. Did a trilogy of LA-based stories, sort of the the LA's version of the Dust Bowl. Not really the Dust Bowl, but when they tore down, when they built Dodger Stadium and moved out a lot of the migrants and Mexicans that lived in this area and just kind of tore their homes out and built Dodger Stadium. But I don't want to get into too much politics here, but search out that stuff. It's really great. But this is another one of his sort of semi-political albums. It's pretty good. And this is a great album. I saw this show too. This was also the Great American Music Hall. Probably about 2011 or 12 he played live there. It doesn't say the year, but I think that's when it was. Maybe 12, 13. And double live show. And beautiful again. So that's pretty much Ry Cooder. You should get Ry Cooder albums. There are, you know, again, if you're in CDs, I know this is the vinyl community, but there are some of those multi-disc sets of the soundtracks you can get pretty cheap. The little, you know, the album series. I think there's one of the first Warner Brothers records you can get for like $20 and get 5 of his records. Again, just to get an introduction. Obviously, you can go to YouTube, listen to it all, but Ry Cooder, my favorite, Mazzy's favorite guitar player. Anyway, got to finish my coffee now, and thanks for watching. I know maybe 3 or 4 of you watch, and maybe this will grow like the rest. Share your things. If you have any other, post some other Ry Cooder things at the bottom here. No one's posting it, but maybe that'll build. But it'd be great to have a thing of all the sessions he's been on, because there's probably, you know, literally thousands of sessions. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.